Hello and welcome to the AI Bots. My name's Dan Clark, and with me is my co-host Chazzee. How are
Hello.
you?
I'm good. I'm all good, mate. All good, mate.
Did you enjoy the whole Olympics experience? We haven't spoken for ages.
No, mate. Yeah, it was brilliant. Yeah, it was wicked. I got incredibly sunburnt at the mountain biking, so that was nice. That was always fun. But
you did get the bronze, so it was worth it.
Yeah, nearly. Yeah. My missus went off to the toilet for about 10 minutes. I thought she'd entered. But yeah, it was. It was brilliant. It was really, really good. The whole thing was just spectacular, wasn't it? Like,
wasn't it just, man?
Yeah, so no, I loved it. Absolutely loved it.
You been playing Daley Thompson's decathlon or anything like that?
Yes, mate. Yeah, Daley Thompson's decathlon, gold, silver, and bronze. You know, all the classics. Yeah, it's been excellent.
See, those kind of games, they never feel the same when there's been a few this year released for like the iOS devices, and they haven't felt the same because you're not actually waggling a physical stick, and when it's a touchscreen, it's not got the same.
Yeah, not got the same feel, is it? You don't feel
like not the same physical endurance.
Yeah, no, exactly. I remember, this is going to sound really dodgy. I remember sitting there waggling my joystick, getting proper veins popping up on my arms and my forearms about to burst.
And then having to tap that smack on the spacebar to launch the javelin or whatever.
Yeah, exactly.
On the fire button.
Yeah, get it to 45 degrees to kind of do the long jump and all that kind of stuff. Yeah, and track and field. Oh, track and field, me.
All of them games, man. Yeah,
exactly.
That's what the Olympics is about.
Exactly, the arthritic fingers from tapping those fucking buttons on the arcade cabinet.
Yeah, we're the true athletes, man.
Yes, mate.
Maybe for the Paralympics, anyway.
Definitely, because we are a bit special. Right. So, what have you been playing, then, man?
Well, I've been doing a lot of watching as well as playing at the moment. I've got Netflix recently. Don't know if I said before on the show, but I've been watching a whole load of series that I'd heard about for the past, say, couple of decades. But cool. I've never got around to buying. I don't want to spend 30 quid on a DVD box set.
Yeah.
But again, I've always wanted to watch it, so just sort of flick it on. And it's like, don't know, all the box sets are there. So I started watching Twin Peaks over the weekend. Now, I'm quite a fan of David Lynch, but for some reason I'd never got into it at the time. So I started watching it, and then within about 20 minutes, I'd spotted maybe half a dozen references that Deadly Premonition has used.
Oh, right, cool.
Now, bearing in mind, I've only played up to the point where Deadly Premonition opens up into a sandbox. So 4 or 5 hours, when you get through that first sort of opening-y mission.
Yeah, that sort of opening cutscene and the little opening mission where he's driving about talking.
Yeah, well, I think I've done sort of 3 missions. I've done the first couple trying to find this killer, but they've just been en route to the game going, oh, by the way, there's all this here. Okay. So, yeah, within watching 2 episodes of Twin Peaks, I was like, oh, I really want to play Deadly Premonition, really want to play it. So, yeah, pulled that out. And again, within a couple of minutes, there were references that I hadn't noticed were Twin Peaks references when I first played it. And then it just brings a whole new sort of reason to enjoy it.
So you're picking up you're picking up nice little Easter eggs and stuff out all the way along now.
Yeah, like I say, it's going to be awkward to see in which which do I play first? Do I watch all of Twin Peaks and then play Deadly Premonition, or do I watch a couple of episodes of Twin Peaks, then a couple of hours of Deadly Premonition, and so on?
So you're at a really weird crossroads you never thought you'd ever be at.
Yeah. I wonder if anyone. Other people might not do similar things with other source material versus the reference point.
Do I watch Rambo or do I play Akari Warriors?
Yeah. Oh man, yeah. Back in the day, bless them. But yeah, Deadly Premonition is so. I was going to say so good, but then I suddenly realised that a lot of people know it's quite janky in a lot of ways. Playability wise, there's a lot of things that are wrong with it. Now I can put up with them. I can put up with quite a lot of bad games if.
So you've got a high tolerance for that kind of jankiness, and if there's a nice little bit of there's something behind it to kind of pique your interest.
Yeah, I can kind of blind myself off to a lot of that. I think
Gotcha.
Often I find the bigger AAA games have worse gameplay than the games that people say are janky, so maybe that's just me being weird, but maybe it's just because I like PS2 games.
No, it just shows your tolerance. You're a very tolerant man.
Yeah, very probably. There's this great running gag in Twin Peaks, and this isn't a spoiler, it goes from the first episode, but where the music in the background is audible to the characters in the show at points.
Oh, right, okay.
like there's one song that goes on all the way through through the pilot, and then at the end, it's like that they're in a club and a woman's singing it when this fight happens, and so they can hear the music themselves, or this other music that you keep hearing when it's certain characters, and you think, oh, it's their theme, and then the woman walks into a cafe, goes on the jukebox, and puts on that song and says, "Oh, do you like this one? Yeah, I always play this." It's like, damn, that's really mad.
Yeah, it's really weird.
Yeah, and they kept that running joke in Deadly Premonition. So at the time, I just thought, oh, haha, that's a funny joke in a Japanese game. And then it's like, wow, it's not only is it that, it's got some sort of historical context. Like,
that's cool, man. That's
anyway.
Really cool. Yeah, totally.
Yeah, the way it does the joke in Deadly Premonition is that the woman who runs the hotel where you're staying is a bit deaf. And when she's in the room, the background music keeps getting louder, I guess, because she's deaf, so that she can...
So she can pick it up, yeah?
Yeah, but then your character ends up shouting over the music as it gets louder to try and get her to listen. And they're both sitting at opposite ends of a huge table, even though she's deaf.
So does this game do a lot of like breaking the fourth wall like that? Or does that get a little bit... from what you've played, does it start getting tiresome quite quickly?
No, I don't think so.
It's more part of the charm.
Yeah, I mean, it's the whole game is kind of devoted to doing that. It's almost like they're trying to be like the Smart Price Kojima or Suda51.
Right, okay.
Like everything is artistically led towards a vision, and as long as you can sort of connect with that vision, I think you'll have a good time with it. Gotcha. Like where he's talking to himself in the car about 80s movies.
Yeah, I've heard about this. It's like some of the dialogue. I've obviously been watching the endurance run of this on Giant Bomb, and like seeing some of the the kind of references to films and stuff, and the crazy dialogue. It seems quite well written for a game that's like sort of like supposed to be held up as like this budget kind of janky looking game, but it looks like it's put together well.
Yeah, oh, definitely. It's only janky in terms of in terms of engine itself. Like in terms of artistic style and writing and quality of composition, like of the music, it's superb. It's only lacking in sort of maybe what we've come to expect as modern gamers in terms of the third-person shooter experience.
High definition and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah. I mean, it looks a lot like Metal Gear Solid 3, which I still think holds up. It looks like a good game, but it's kind of maybe equatable with that, or say an HD version of Silent Hill 2, although not Silent Hill 2 HD, which we'll come to later in the news.
Fair enough. Nice little link there, son.
Yeah, so I've had kind of a mad weekend in David Lynch and Swery65's weird
World,
Northwest America. Yeah. How about you, man?
Me, I've been playing Binary Domain.
Yeah.
Because I've heard loads of people going on about it and, kind of waxing lyrical about it. And I thought, right, I better go and, jump on the bandwagon, see what all the fuss is about. If everyone's raving about this game, I better see what's going on. So, love me third-person shooters anyway. So, yeah, got it from Love Film, and I'm really loving it. Really, really enjoying it. I can see what the fuss is all about, because it's the vibe I'm getting from this game is it's like a Metal Gear third-person shooter with like touches of Gears of War in it. I mean, it's very kind of like Japanese take on a Western, ideal, on a Gears of War type game. But they've just got so many lovely little touches with it, to do with, like adding an RPG type dialogue trees and chatting to people, like rather than it just being, like Marcus Phoenix sticking his finger up to his ear and chatting away to some like off-screen unit that are commanding them.
Some kind of presence somewhere.
The vague presence on the headset. It's actually like, you're talking to your buddy and they're saying, well, what should we do? Should we do this? Or do you like this? Or, wow, you killed a lot of things there. Are you okay? Are you getting freaked out at the moment? And it's like, and you can say yeah or no, or yeah, I'm really freaked out. And you can actually have a little bit of dialogue with, and whatever you say kind of gives you better standing with them or worse standing with them, so that all their bars go up, and depending on what you say and how you interact with these characters, it affects different things throughout the game.
It sounds like a sort of heavily simplified version of Mass Effect.
Yeah, oh, very much so. But what I like about it is the fact that like this is a third-person action shooter that has got multiple endings. Depending on what it's like. Nier has like ending A, ending B, ending C. Yeah. This is like a Gears of War game that's got a good ending and a bad ending and a middle of the road ending, which is quite unheard of for those types of games. It's quite, like I say, it's really interesting to see how a Japanese dev has kind of taken that structure and then brought their own flavour to it. It's
interesting when you see those JRPG mechanics mixed with a Western style of game, isn't it? I do quite enjoy
totally.
it.
It's like you go to the ammo station, and normally you just go to an ammo station and it give you a series of ammo crates and you fill it up and then you run on. But not in this. You kind of go up to an ammo station and then you load up on your whatever ammunition and grenades you get, and then once you stopped, it runs like a little jackpot machine. Like a one-arm bandit. And it'll go like win, lose, jackpot, and it will just cycle, and then eventually it will land on like win or jackpot or lose, and then you'll get like if it lands on jackpot, then it throws out like grenades some extra grenades for you. If it lands on win, it throws out an extra ammo pack or that kind of thing. Just like a lovely little touch like that you'd never see from a Western developer, but it's obviously like sort of based on the kind of arcade culture in Japan and that kind of pachinko type, going out and gambling and that kind of thing, and it's just another little, just a little tiny thing, just put in there for a bit of flavour.
I'm guessing that's where people are drawing comparisons with like God Hand. Like, I know it's Platinum Games, so there are going to be comparisons there anyway. But like with the kind of little bonuses and constant little sort of nudges along just to keep you happy and keep you playing, isn't it?
Yeah, totally. So there's just loads of stuff in this game that are just lovely little touches all the way along. It's not the most like highly polished game. I mean, it's not by any stretch of the imagination bad. I mean, it's very, very well done. But you can see that obviously they had a budget and have had to stay within that, because some of the environments are quite empty and you feel like you're running through corridor after corridor after a while. It seems like they've tried to save a bit of budget every now and then, but overall, but then to offset that, they have like absolutely wondered. Like every single character feels really unique and feels like they're really fleshed out. Wow. It's not like, again, to go for the like Gears of War comparison or like a Space Marine. It's not just I'm big hulking dude who's gonna run in and just annihilate everyone and fuck yeah. It's kind of more like, guys, like it's that they've all got a bit of a personality to them, and they're all sort of talking about these kind of crazy situations and why are we doing this and should we be doing this and this is fucked up, and there's loads of dialogue going on that's like sort of makes you feel for them or not feel for them or get pissed off with these characters. And
without being sort of spoilery, is that because they are normal people forced into being at war rather than in Gears of War?
Very much so. Well, they are a mercenary squad.
Yeah.
But they are from different walks of life and different areas of the world, and they've all been thrown together, sort of situation. It's one of those kind of premises.
I can't really remember much of the demo, but is there a like really Britishy one, like a sort of
there's a couple of they're very, very There's two. There's a guy and a girl who are the kind of British protagonists.
Yeah,
the kind of the one's the leader and one's the demolitions expert. And I mean they're not too cloyingly, yeah, governor. They're not like
it's not Dick Van Dyke.
Yeah, it's not the Cockney chimney sweeps.
They've blocked the road. There's dozens of them. How are we going to take down that many robots? Mary, Bert, any ideas?
That's a very important question.
We're very glad you asked us.
But there's only one surefire way
to kill those robot bastards. Just a massive fucking rocket makes automatons go down.
They'll drop to the ground
with a clanking metal sound.
Yes, a massive fucking rocket makes automatons go down in the most explosive way.
But they are they are your kind of stereotypical kind of English characters in video games. You know,
Yeah.
slightly hacky, but yeah, no, like I said, these are actually characters that you actually, through the course of the game, you actually start really caring about them and really kind of wanting to kind of them to do well. And I won't spoil it.
Such a like you're making what I think a lot of people have assumed this is quite a generic third-person space marine-y kind of game.
Yeah, it's not.
And you're making it sound like it's got a lot of unique elements that completely take it away from that.
Yeah, totally. That's what I'm saying. I mean, this game, I'm really excited to see what, if they do a binary domain too, and if they can go off and really kind of flesh out a lot of these ideas. You know, it'd be amazing. It really would be, because there's so much in this to love. They've just sort of taken the third person kind of shooter and spun it on its head, and I really, really, really enjoyed it. You know.
Oh man, I'm just sort of what could be the worst thing ever, right? Is if they did a sequel, but you said they kind of mixed Metal Gear and Gears of War.
Yeah.
If they were like, the way we did it in the first one didn't work, let's take the characterization of Gears of War and the length of cutscenes of Metal Gear Solid. 7 hours of like
an Azura's Wrath type, shooter, like post-apocalyptic future.
but with less character than that, I'm sure.
But yeah, I mean, it's one of the other nice things about this. It's got the headset, yeah.
Yeah.
And you can issue voice commands. So rather than doing, as like I was saying about the dialogue options and you're chatting away to people, you can actually, they'll say, so, are we going to do this or are we going to do that? And you go sort of, Roger, and then down your headset, and then they go, oh, right, so you're really up for that idea. Okay, well, let's go and do it. And it's and that's great when it works, but it doesn't like the Essex accent. It doesn't like my kind of incredibly common voice. So I'm sort of sitting there going, cover me, cover me, cover me. But it's but having said that,
if it did work, it would be a great feature.
Yeah, it really for the first 10 minutes when it was working well, I was actually feeling quite immersed in it. It was quite funny to be able to chat away to Big Bo and him go wow, she's got a fine ass, and you go, yes, and he goes, yeah, I thought you'd agree with me. And he's nods and winks and stuff to breaking the fourth wall a little bit. And it's wicked. But it was such a shame that it did, it didn't really pick my accent up very well. But there's loads of little stuff
Is
like
it
that.
better than say Mass Effect 3 with Kinect? Did you try that at all?
I've not tried that, no. But it's better than Mass Effect 3 in as much as it's a more solid shooter, I think, than
Oh wow, yeah.
Than Mass Effect. Mass Effect is very pretty,
yeah,
but it always felt a little bit weird and floaty for me. Whereas Binary Domain actually feels quite tight and well put together. So
solid and meaty.
Yeah, solid and meaty, but not for meatheads. How about that?
Yeah, that's a quote. For
yeah,
Binary
exactly.
Domain 2, there you go.
But no, really, I was pleasantly surprised, because I really did think this was going to be like your kind of BC tier game, And
did you play Vanquish, by the way, by Platinum as well?
No, I didn't. But that looked very very cheesy, and very kind of sort of almost 80s action movie, whereas this is more in a vein of a kind of say a Metal Gear or a Mass Effect,
Slightly lower key, in terms of
Yeah, it's one of the better stories I've played in a shooter as well. Really, really quite an unusual story. But
interesting stuff.
Yeah, it's well worth playing, man. It's well worth playing. If you can find a copy of it cheap, I'd really recommend you picking it up.
I don't think you could find a copy expensive at the moment. I'm not being funny, but it's one of those games that sort of dropped to a silly price in a short space of time.
Yeah, it just disappeared, didn't it? It sort of dropped off a cliff.
Despite the fact that everyone that was playing it was
raving about it.
Yeah,
exactly.
I didn't really see anyone that had a bad word to say about it. So
no, I can see why they haven't, because there's so many little bits to love in it. It's one of those kind of sum of its parts games where there's so many little bits that come together to make a really great game.
Yeah,
it's not that you can't say, like I say, it hasn't got the polish of a Gears of War. It hasn't got the kind of big bombast of a even though it's not a third person game, but of a Modern Warfare. It has got lots of really cool shit in there that all comes together to make it as good, if not better, than some of those games. It's
you
like
made
I'd
it sound
say
like I'll actually like it, even though I don't like.
no, you would.
third-person shooters.
I think you'd really like it, mate. Honestly, I really think you'd like it.
And also, I can like use the headset, and like there not be other people there. Like, perfect.
Yeah, no,
Like,
exactly,
for me,
exactly.
it's like, yeah, that's perfect.
Like a training headset, you know.
Yeah.
Like training you for multiplayer.
Yeah, that's the one.
So other than that, I've been playing games at like Gplex, and like obviously as everyone's heard, like we were up till silly in the morning playing games in the Console Ninjas hotel room. So we ended up playing a lot of Marvel vs. Capcom 3, and I'm not a massive fighting game freak, you know.
Yeah.
I play a bit of Street Fighter 4. Like one of my crowning glories in any game is the fact that I beat that on medium, and to my eternal shame, I jumped off the couch, ran around the front room screaming, "Oh my god, I've done it!" So you know that's how bad I am at fighting games.
The boss in Street Fighter 4 does make you feel like that, though. Like,
Yeah, totally. He's
quite cheap. So,
He's a cheap
yeah,
bastard.
I get you.
But playing that Marvel vs. Capcom 3 though, I really enjoyed that game. It was an absolute visual feast. There's so much going on the screen. It was ridiculous. Like, you can't work out what you're doing. You know, I defy anyone to actually know what's going on when all the kind of flashes and bangs and...
Maybe that's why you lost every round then. Because I was just about to say that the fact that it's in HD means that you can tell, like... I know you were like, there's so much going on the screen, but I felt...
I found it really overwhelming.
Yeah.
But having said that, as I got into it more and more and more, I was starting to pick up, oh, right, okay.
Like, this is why that's happened.
Yeah, exactly. Like, why suddenly my 3 people have jumped in and jumped out. And, yeah, exactly. And, like, comboing in on, like, tagging people in to combo off stuff. And, like, there's a lot of depth in there that I started to suddenly, you know, over playing a few games, sort of get my head round. And I think I'm thinking about picking it up, like, properly.
Did you play the second one?
No, I've not played any of them. Not played any of them at all. Like I
the
said,
second
not
one's
a
on
big
XBLA.
fun
It's
game.
got a lot more characters than number 3. And it still looks pretty good, considering, like, because it's 2D animation, so it's always going to look as good as it does.
Yeah, totally.
So, yeah, I'd recommend that one, if not instead of, at least as well as. Like, it's, I think it's got it's over 50 characters. Like, a massive roster. Stack of Marvel and Capcom. Like 3 is fantastic, but I just found the roster a bit lacking. Yeah,
but I mean, I found for like me as someone who's like entry level, doesn't play a lot of fighting games, like it's brilliant because you can button mash your way through a few games and win. But if you really want to start just learning and kind of getting your head around of how a fighting game works, I found it really. It's got a lot more scope for you to learn it quickly.
Yeah,
than some of the other games have, you know, that I've
especially
played anyway.
Like, you've got 3 health bars, so that gives you like
ample opportunity
the amount of time to learn what's going on a bit. And
totally.
swap them out.
Yeah, and also, you know, because you're playing with 3 different characters, you've got 3 different movesets. You can kind of get a feel for each one throughout playing in one game. So you're almost like sort of learning 3 characters at once.
It's almost counterintuitive to what you'd think. You'd think that it would be way more difficult.
But you just pick up a move here and a move there, and all of a sudden you're sort of building up little move sets with each player over like each game, you know, and all of a sudden you know a hell of a lot more moves. So I mean, like I said, for me as a noob to it all, I really thought it was excellent.
It probably helps that you're used to Street Fighter 4 as well, because
totally.
I doubt that they're quite similar games all round.
Yeah, totally.
But I know there's different mechanics. Fighting game people are going to write in and say, no, they're not. They're entirely different. But engine-wise, they do feel and look vaguely similar.
Yeah, totally. But at the end of that night, I had properly square eyes from playing that game, and it sort of, you know, it was doing. It had a massive, like, sort of massive migraine from all the flashes and squiggly bits on the screen.
No, it's probably from having like listened back to when we were playing it. Like, it was about maybe an hour and a half long that we were just playing that all constantly, like, hooked on the screen. Like,
yeah, crazy, man, crazy. So you got anything else, man?
Yeah, you know, you're saying about when you opened an item box in Binary Domain, where it goes to like an RPG. Sorry, not an RPG. When where it goes to a slot machine.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah.
And the past few weeks, I've been saying I've been looking for RPG experiences that I can just jump into and jump out of.
Right.
Like I've been trying loads of portable games on the Vita, but they have a bit more depth than I'm looking for. Now, I downloaded this game for free on my iPod Touch called RPG Slots.
Okay.
And it distills the Japanese sort of turn-based RPG experience into a simple slot machine, like a fruit machine version of an RPG.
Oh, cool.
If you like Puzzle Quest, don't
you? Yeah.
It's a bit like that in that it applies sort of tropes associated with RPGs across every level of an entirely different game format.
Oh, cool.
And I've just found it so addictive.
Yeah, I mean, you've got me to download this and play it, and the first thing I noticed about it was that it's one of those, just one more game. Just one more go.
Especially as just one more go, it just involves pressing spin on the wheels a few times to try and beat another enemy.
Yeah, exactly.
I should explain the sort of mechanics a bit better. So you've got like 3 reels each, 3 for you, 3 for your opponent. And then in the middle, you've got a multiplier, times 1, times 2, or 3. And like, say you get 3 swords on your side that match up, it can be diagonally. Then you hit the opponent for like however many health the middle bit says. And
yeah, so that was the thing that got me. I thought it just had to be in a straight line across. But then once you start playing a few and it sort of, it takes diagonals, it takes like sort of U shapes and N shapes.
Yeah, as long as they touch in one direction, either, diagonally
on the
first
corners
3
or
reels.
whatever, yeah. So, so you're getting all these kind of... The only thing I found with it is you don't have a lot of control. It is very at random. It is just like you say, a slot machine. It's just very kind of pull, and hope for the best. There's a lot of luck involved in it.
It's almost like a parody of in Final Fantasy where you're just pressing the X button over.
Yeah, totally.
I was unsure if that... Maybe I'm looking too deeply into it, but I was like, is this game like a big parody of that? And like the fact that what damage you do is basically based on a slot machine, like a random number dice generator. And I was like, is this just a really clever piss take of that they've managed to actually get to work as a whole gameplay experience itself? Because I'm now like, 5 dungeons in. Yeah. So I'm getting a bit more control. Like, say, once you start buying your shields and buying different items to use against the enemy, and then you can build up, you can stun them.
Yes, I saw that. You can sort of stun the enemy, and then you get like 2 attempts.
You get 2 spins.
2 spins, yeah.
If you pump 15 experience into a certain level stat, you can then have 3 goes when you stun them and that kind of thing.
Okay.
Or rather than having to get 100 charge points to use your stun, you can then drop that down by each experience point that you put into it. So you can end up only having to get, say, 80. To get your charge, so you're then getting it quicker as well. So there is quite a lot of depth to the mechanics behind it.
Yeah, see, I noticed in this game it had a lot of kind of... There's obviously microtransactions in it, and you can pay to level up this and that, and buy new weapons and stuff. Did you find yourself tempted? Now you've got really into it to pay for those.
No, I'm getting enough coins just through playing the game.
Yeah.
To buy the stuff anyway.
You don't feel sort of pressured into, having to do it because the game goes on and on and on and on and on, and you're kind of too weak to get to the next dungeon or whatever.
It literally hasn't even offered them to me yet, other than when I've gone into the shop menu, it loads up the paid for items first, but then you just click on the next thing along, and it's gone. I really haven't noticed it.
I like that because there's one thing I hate about iOS games that do that kind of pressuring thing. It's one of the first things that makes me just turn it off.
Yeah.
And get rid of it. So it's nice that it's not pressuring you into doing it, or lengthening it to the point where it's almost unplayable.
If anything, I'm almost slightly over leveled. Well, I was for the last dungeon. This one coming up now, I'm going to have to do a bit of grinding.
Yeah.
Through just playing it for a few days without paying for anything other than with in-game coins.
Yeah.
I was over leveled, so it's not like it holds you back artificially or anything. It's quite the opposite.
Yeah.
It's a really sort of generous little game.
It's a nice little train game where you can just sit there and get addicted to it for half an hour while you're, going between stops, and and then you can come back to it and just keep grinding away. See, I've
seen a few people the past few weeks saying that they'd like some kind of... They were looking for RPGs on the Vita. I saw a few people in the past few weeks have sort of been saying, what I'd really love is something just simple and turn-based. So yeah, if you've got an iOS device, I'd say give this a go.
It's simple.
It's silly and it's very simple.
Yeah.
But the depth, once you get into the depth behind it, it's like, man, there's so much going on here for what is essentially, as you say, just pushing one button
over and over and over again.
Like I say, that's exactly what you do in almost every JRPG.
Yeah,
so
totally, man.
I don't think of it as a clever piss take, and I think you'll enjoy this.
That's cool. And I did think it was did think it was good. Like I said, I thought it was a bit simple and a bit like kind of, OCD of kind of hit the button, hit the button, hit the button, hit the button. But I can see how you can get really into it once you get further into it, man.
Once I played it, I realised that was exactly the game that I've been looking for ages.
For ages.
Yeah. Like, it fulfills everything I've been saying I've wanted in like almost the entire run of this show. It's like, you've distilled it down. Like, you've made the perfect game for me. Thank you, whoever made it. I should learn the people's
names. Yeah.
The shout out. You been playing anything else, man?
Well, haven't been playing anything else. What I've been doing is going deeper and deeper down a dark rabbit hole. When I was up at Gplex, Jay Stokes kindly sold me a Dreamcast.
Yep.
And went out and he took us to that retro shop up in Birmingham. And
in Freaky Street.
Yeah, that was wicked. That was wicked. That street. Yeah. And it ended up getting a Dreamcast and a couple of games, and getting into just old retro stuff, because obviously I've always said on here, I've got a massive knowledge gap when it comes to the Dreamcast. So I thought, right, get myself a Dreamcast, get myself a couple of games, see what all the fuss is all about, and blah, blah, blah. Then I hit eBay. I thought, right, well, let's see what games I can get. I need to get a couple of cables. I want to hook this into a PC monitor. And that's when it all went wrong. I have spent so much money. It's ridiculous. I got on there and was looking for, I wonder how much Shenmue is. Okay. Oh, it's only, 20 quid. Oh, I'll get that. Right, okay. Then,
you got a good deal on that though, man.
Yeah, totally. I mean, it was unboxed, but got a really good deal on it. And I thought, all right, that's pretty reasonable. Okay. Look, there's Jet Set Radio. I know it's coming out in HD, but let's get the original. Let's see what the original's all about. And then, on the sidebar, it was Nintendo 64 games. Oh, I remember having a Nintendo 64. Oh yeah. Oh, do you know what? I can't remember where my one is. Oh yeah, I gave it to someone. I really should have another go on in Nintendo 64. I'll tell you what, I'll just see how much they are. And then all of a sudden, 3 hours later, I've now bought a Nintendo 64 as well. I've bought GoldenEye, Diddy Kong Racing. I've got a couple of other games on the way. I've got all these crazy VGA cables for the Dreamcast coming. And I've spent about 60, 70 quid on old retro stuff. And it's mental. And I've literally had to have my girlfriend take my credit card away so I don't spend any more money on it, because I'm going to be skint by the end of the month.
Oh, bless you.
Yeah.
Well, the thing is, that's only about the same as the price as a new game, though. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, no, totally.
You've got 2 consoles and a couple of games.
I know,
so
it's mental. But it was crazy, sort of going, I wonder how much Majora's Mask is on the on Nintendo 64. Oh my god, it's 65 to 80 quid, depending on where you buy it from.
Well,
right, okay, all right. Let's have a look at Banjo and Kazooie. Oh, that's all right. That's 10, 15 quid. I wonder how much that Banjo Tooie is, because that's supposed to be a bit better. You're joking. 45 to 90 quid. Some games I would never have expected, just completely.
They had
through the roof.
quite a low run though. They were really late in the N64's life.
Yeah.
By this point, the PS2 I think might have even been out by the time Majora's Mask, and maybe even Banjo Tooie. So you got to be thinking they didn't make many copies of those, man.
No, totally. But now I just feel myself getting more and more dragged down the kind of the retro route now, and but it's been mad. It's been quality. Managed to eventually get the Dreamcast up and running enough for me to have a quick look at sort of Shenmue and stuff, and I'm gonna really give that a good go once I get all the cables and stuff sorted out. But I'm really looking forward to that, because from what I've seen of it bloody holds up well.
And I think you're prepared for that. It's going to be a bit janky in places, right?
Yeah. I've kind of the graphics horror in me has had to be told to calm down.
Once you get your VGA box though, that game won't look far off, say, the beginning of this gen-ish.
Yeah,
do you know what I mean?
It looks really good on the sort of S-video cables that I've got plugged in at the moment. So but apparently it's supposed to look even better with, like you say, with the VGA cable. So I'm really looking forward to that. So once I've got that sorted, I think I'm going to get.
Just remember, just remember that it's pre GTA 3,
Right.
and obviously that's the first real 3D sandbox game that people think of.
Yeah.
So this obviously doesn't incorporate a lot of those later features. It's
Yeah. No, it's quite funny.
It's quite obvious to say that obviously it's not going to be like that, but you just need to sort of walk into it and sort of with that.
It was quite funny, like trying to move the guy around and realising that I couldn't use the analog stick because the analog stick wasn't, used as part of the game. Everyone was still using the D-pad, and just like stuff you take for granted now. I'll just use the analog stick. Oh no, it doesn't work. You've got to use the D-pad. It's like,
I think you can switch that to some degree.
Yeah.
Go into the options. You should be able to sort that a bit. I think. I could be wrong.
But yeah, no, it was just funny. Like sort of, it was only like sort of 99 2000. It says on the kind of like splash screen. But you think like in 12 years, how things have changed so dramatically. It just like sort of standards have kind of moved on. Yeah, it's nuts, man. Absolutely nuts.
Although at the time that must have been one of the very few games to use a D-pad for controlling the character, I bet. Do you know what I mean? Because we'd had like Metal Gear, Silent Hill, all these other games by then. So I still think it was a bit of a step backwards. Maybe because this just started life on the Saturn.
No, maybe.
We didn't have a D-pad analog stick. Maybe it's just a hangover from it being developed over two consoles.
Totally. But
imagine how that would have looked on the Saturn. There's when you finish Shenmue 2, it shows you a little video of how it would have looked, right? And it does look good for the Saturn. But when you think of the scope of the game they were trying to make, it was stretching the Dreamcast. It would still, the ambition it would take to do it now, if you did it in HD, the costs would be so astronomical.
Yeah, it'd be ridiculous.
The fact that you can go into your mum's kitchen drawer and just pull out any of the implements and look at them, from different angles.
Why?
What were they thinking? I know.
Exactly.
And yet it was just, I know why they did it. They were like, we're going to make a 3D world and you can take out anything from anywhere and look at it. And it's like, that's such a good idea, but it's so stupid.
Yeah, it's so intensive, it's ridiculous.
I'm glad they did it once, but...
Yeah. But, but disappearing down this sort of retro rabbit hole, I've really, really enjoyed it. So I think we're going to try and keep it up and maybe once a month kind of, try and pick something new up or, give it a couple of months to save up some money and get some bigger titles and just try and get back into some of the older games.
Once you've got an N64, I'm going to show you something quite interesting that you can do on your PC that, as you'll own the original copies, you can upgrade them to HD textures, but we'll go into it deeper in another episode, man. But
cool.
It's quite interesting playing old retro games with nowadays
up-resed
sort of graphic textures. Yeah. So
nice.
Kind of like people doing their own HD remakes, I suppose. But yeah, that's for another day.
Yes, mate. Right, so is that everything, man?
I think that's us covered, isn't it?
Sweet. Right, should we go to a break?
Yeah, let's hit the break.
Okay, break. Oh, mate, this is great. We've got Borderlands 2, a case of beer, and enough cheesy quavers to sink a battleship. This weekend's going to be ace.
Yeah, man, it's a spot of luck that your girlfriend booked a girly weekend, literally the day after Borderlands 2 comes out.
Girlfriend mode activated.
Oh, no. You can't say that word around Connect, man.
Huh? What have I done?
Hey, listen! You two aren't going to sit there all day playing games again, are ya? Your socks are still next to the bloody bed from last night, and you forgot to put the pesto back in the fridge.
We were going to play Borderlands 2.
Oh, no, you're not. You always play them shooty games. What about Dance Central? I like that one. Or Wii Sports.
Wii Sports isn't even on the Xbox.
Yes, it is. I played it round Susan's. Anyway, you should be changing the fuse in the Dyson. I told you yesterday. And that creaky stair's getting on my bloody nerves.
Xbox Play Borderlands 2.
No, Xbox Bing. Mel B's Connect Dance Workout.
Better with Connect my arse.
Why don't we just unplug the Connect?
Yeah, good idea, man.
Don't you bloody dare!
Daisy, Daisy, give me your answer
And we're back. And we seem to have a lot of questions this week, don't we, mate?
Yeah, we've got quite a few. Now, there's one that we have to sort of hold our hands up here. This one came in when the Olympics had just started. But we didn't want to answer it from the future in the episode last week, because that would have just sounded weird. Like talking about the London Olympics in 2022. Although people will be, I suppose. But yeah, that wasn't our remit. So it wasn't...
No.
So, yeah, we've got a question from Justin Knowles, Don Ragnar on Twitter. Now, he said, with the London Olympics, if we were to put together an Olympic team made entirely from video game characters, who would you put into each event? The only rules are that each character can only compete in one event, and they must be primarily video game characters. So you couldn't use, like, the Flash from DC Universe Online or, like, the Hulk for weightlifting or something like that. You can't do that. Now, he's given a few examples. He's given Frogger for the high jump.
Right.
Sonic for the 100-meter sprint.
Very good.
Yep, they're shoo-ins. I think they'd get the gold. Yep. He said fencing the Prince of Persia. Now, I heard in the fencing, Cloud and Sephiroth both got banned because their swords were way above regulation size, and they've got shit hair. Didn't fit under the fencing mask properly. So
yes.
And he said Garrus for shooting. He says he's loving the podcast. Keep up the good work. And yeah. So what would you do, man?
Right. So I thought, well, you've got to have someone to come out and light the torch. So the best person for that has obviously got to be Dal Sim.
Clearly.
Yeah, Yoga Flame, that Olympic flame, you know, lights the torch, job's a good one. It's got to be done.
Now, would he do the one from a distance, right? Or would he do the one close up?
Well, if he did the one close up, he'd burn his face off, I reckon.
Yeah, possibly once it all went up.
Yeah.
But then there's a chance of it missing and going into the crowd if he does it from a distance. So
yeah.
They'd always have to work out health and safety on the day.
Well, maybe he could do the one close up, but like they did at, was it Atlanta, where they had the little flame that shot up into the cauldron?
Yeah, you're right. Yeah,
maybe he could do that. Yeah.
Yeah, Capcom would have to build in some sort of new mechanics for him to be able to do that, but I'm sure that wouldn't be a problem, would it?
Yeah, it wouldn't be too hard, would it?
I'll tell you, I'd have for the javelin. I'd have. Do you remember Arthur from Ghouls and Ghosts and Ghosts and Goblins?
Yeah.
He'd be perfect for that, as long as he didn't pick up the wrong power up.
Yeah, or or he did it wrong the first time and his clothes fell off. He's just running around in his pants.
To be fair, a lot of Olympics is running around in pants anyway, isn't it?
Lycra onesie pants, underwear.
Now we were trying to think of this. And we were arguing about what John Marston from Red Dead Redemption would be best for.
Yeah.
I said clearly dressage because he keeps his horse looking nice and all that.
Yeah, and I was saying to you, it's got to be. It's not dressage because he doesn't dance about on his horse. What he does is he rides about. He does a bit of shooting. He jumps off the horse, does a bit of running. So it's got to be the modern pentathlon, surely.
Yeah,
bit of running, bit of shooting.
Does he swim, or is it like GTA? Like the GTA games that...
Well, he doesn't swim, but he doesn't have to be good at everything. He only has to be good at most of it.
Fair point. But if it's a Rockstar game, he might just drown as soon as his toe hits the wall.
Yeah, we'll leave that. We'll do that one first or last.
He can go into some kind of special scuba suit.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. We'll give him a snorkel.
Now, someone who wouldn't need a snorkel is... in the synchronized swimming, I'd have Echo and his mates from the intro of the first game. When they're all flipping about in the air.
Yeah, all jumping about. Yeah.
Yeah, so I think that'd be great for the synchronized swimming.
Yeah.
Although that might be cheating. I know they're not strictly human. I bet if a country suddenly entered dolphins into
Yes, we've entered animals. We have a cheetah to do the 200 metres.
Well, if you can enter horses in show jumping, why can't you have a cheetah in the 100-metre sprint?
Yeah, exactly. Like a long jump and there's two massive kangaroos.
Or just a giraffe taking a step.
Superb. Yeah. So, what about Taekwondo, mate? That's an event, isn't it?
Yeah. I think there's been Taekwondo fighters in various games. Like I think Tekken's got a couple of Taekwondo fighters, but I reckon it should be someone from like an old 2D game, like Yi Ar Kung Fu, or someone from something like that. Because as they're two-dimensional, they'd be really difficult to hit.
Yeah.
You'd get them square on the pixel, and from any other angle, it wouldn't work.
Yeah, exactly. They would just be too thin for you to hit. They'd just turn sideways, and you'd miss
them. Yeah. So, I think that's the video game Olympics covered pretty much.
Yes,
Otherwise, we're just going to make worse and worse references as things go on.
Yeah.
Really obvious. I'd have the Lakers from Bulls versus Lakers in the basketball.
In the basketball, yes.
Yeah, who's the next question from, man?
Next question is from Furiace, and he says, after the summer of despair, do you think people are over-egging the first games out of the traps this summer? With Sleeping Dogs, which has scored 9 out of 10s in most places, and Darksiders 2 getting high marks, are people treating these games like Christ's second coming? Are people so desperate for a big hit game that subpar releases are being seen in a rose-tinted, crack-fueled, hooker-laden light? Are these games to be the true AAA titles that everyone thinks they are, or am I just being a cynic?
This is a really interesting question.
Yeah, man.
And I found it. I was falling on both sides of the argument as I thought it through. See, I think that this is quite clever marketing to release at this time of year.
Yeah, totally.
I can see where the cynicism comes from, but then I don't see that they're necessarily bad games. They might not be if they were released in October, they might not be the big AAA releases that would get all the sales at that point.
Yeah.
But that's exactly why it's a good idea to release them now.
Yeah, that's why they're being moved, isn't it? You know, so they don't get steamrolled by a Modern Warfare or something massive.
It doesn't even matter if it's any single one massive game. Just that huge glut that we get sort of end of September, October, November. It's impossible for any game to get seen.
Something's got to be pushed to the margins at some point. If there's so many games coming out that people have got to review, there's only so many man hours to review games, and kind of things are going to get pushed to the wayside. But I mean, there's also an argument to be said for kind of like your own perceptions of what you think a AAA game is. I mean,
should be.
And should be. I mean, there's no reason that a Sleeping Dogs can't be. It's a new IP and that can, come out and be a 9 out of 10. Why can't it come out and be a 9 out of 10?
Well, it's not really a new IP though, is it? It's
Is it not?
It's technically one of those old. Do you remember the true crime games?
Oh, right. Is it? Okay, so
it's sort of the phoenix from the ashes of the. Was it like True Crime Hong Kong or something? That they put on the back burner.
Even so,
it's a new
even so, there's no reason that this can't be a 9 out of 10 game. I mean, we've got to say we've not played these games. We don't know that these aren't amazing games that are going to blow your socks off. Until we play it, we can't really say with any kind of real definite authority. But at the end of the day, why can't this game come out and absolutely shock us? Why can't it kind of sideswipe us and be amazing?
Also,
isn't that what we all want?
Yeah, especially in a surprising time of year, at a time when everyone is clamoring for a new game, aren't they? So I totally see Furiace's point. I really do, but I can't see what can be done about it. I don't think there needs to be anything that is done about it. I think it's just slightly cynical on their part, marketing. But if it suits everyone, there's no loser, is there? So
no, exactly. I mean, we are talking about fine margins as well. I mean, if they are 9 out of 10 games, or they're 8.5 or 7s, they're still great. They're still good games.
Also, to be fair, with the second day reviews, because obviously first day reviews are often a little bit higher. Yeah. As we all know, second day reviews have now come through, and Sleeping Dogs is now standing at 78 as a Metascore. Yeah. And Darksiders at 84 currently. So
So I mean. Looking at it, it's going to even itself out over the reviews, isn't it? I mean,
they're good to average scores, aren't they?
Yeah.
Kind of exactly what I'd expect for those two games to.
Exactly, and you'll also put your own spin on the fact that it's Metacritic and blah blah blah, and their metrics and all that kind of stuff. But
I'm not putting all my.
But even if you took the kind of what you would see as the mainstream press.
Yeah.
For I think there's enough people there with enough integrity that kind of, if you averaged all those review scores out, it's a pretty good indication of how well that game's being received.
Also, I think what we'll see maybe next year or the year after is, do you remember when they started releasing big games in January, February? For exactly the same reason, to avoid this being caught up in the Christmas rush.
Yeah, totally.
Because a lot of them got smacked on the arse with that. I know Ubisoft had one Christmas where they released a whole load of great games, and none of them really sold much because not only had they competed with themselves too much, they had all the other publishers on the market as well. So
exactly.
But now January, February, you get dozens of really big names. So
I sort of remember Burnout Paradise being one of the kind of first games that came out in January, and everyone's like, "Oh, that's not going to sell very well," and it did gangbusters and kind of opened the floodgates for other games to come through and sell at that time.
It's a great time because like people have new consoles from Christmas. You can't forget the kids market, can you?
Well, yeah. Also, kids are getting like
Christmas
sort of
money
vouchers and Christmas money and that kind of stuff. So, yeah, I mean, there's a lot to be said for like having these peaks and troughs and kind of odd times and seasons to release games.
Yeah.
But I can see what you say. I can see what you're saying about like being cynical and saying, "Oh well, we haven't had any games for ages, so everyone's just desperately clamouring to give something a good score just to, keep people coming to your site and stuff." But I think in this case, there might be a little bit of that, but not as much as you maybe think there is. I think it's more that actually 2 reasonably good games have come out and are getting reasonably good scores.
The only worry and a slight caveat is there's the worry that they may have been rushed to hit this period rather than being held off until October, November, when maybe they were supposed to have been.
Yeah, but then there's or you could argue that they've actually been extended and pushed, from this Christmas onwards. So it's you don't know unless you're bloody working there, to be honest. But it's an odd one. I just think at the end of the day, it sort of always evens itself out. And
it's a really interesting question, and I think maybe I might do a little bit of research into when, like on a sort of longer term basis, as to which games do get lost this coming year, and see how it could have panned out if they'd have been released at a different. I know we can't really say, but there will be games that people say, "Oh, that really should have sold better."
But it's interesting. Like you always hear, like reviewers when they sort of go back over their games years later, and they go, "Yeah, I reviewed that 5 points too high," or that I reviewed that as an 8.5, and actually I think it's probably with time more like a 7.5. And it's all very subjective and kind of with time. Like I was seeing people today talking about Ocarina of Time on Twitter, and kind of all of a sudden saying, "Oh, that's not as good as I actually thought it was," and people always reassess their opinions of stuff. So
it's good that we can do that as well.
No, totally. But it's just kind of like I don't think you should ever see review scores as kind of that definite metric. That it's a lovely kind of guide.
It's like a snapshot in time, isn't it?
Totally. Yeah, totally.
It's sort of set in stone.
Yeah,
judgment.
I think looking back on review scores, you shouldn't really put too much weight on them. It's like if it word of mouth about a game, is worth a lot more now.
I think so, and hopefully that leads to more people actually reading the text of the reviews rather than just looking at this arbitrary number at the end.
I think people are becoming a lot more savvy to that kind of stuff as well. So great question, man.
Yeah, thanks for that, man. It's had us thinking for the past sort of day or so. So
totally.
We also had a question from Dave UK 82_02.
Yes.
Now this question came through just the right time, I'd say.
Yeah, he timed it perfectly.
Yeah, because obviously this week Gamescom is going on in Leipzig in Germany. And he asked us the question, where's the love from Sony for the PS Vita? Now, one day later, we now know that Sony have actually had quite a love in for the Vita at Gamescom.
Yeah, exactly. They've announced everything for the Vita. It's quite mad.
It's been stunning. Like, it's a list that they could have spread out across the whole year, I think, and maybe should have done. Maybe some of these should have been E3 announcements.
Well, I was a bit puzzled at why suddenly you'd announce all this in Germany, in Europe. It's like they don't. I mean, having said that, I mean they've got kind of a bit of a history of kind of making PlayStation announcements at Gamescom. There was they announced their TV service for the first time, sort of over here, and all their kind of odd stuff they kind of they talk about, don't they?
Oh, that's interesting.
So to actually have such big announcements here is kind of it's quite unusual. But
see, I was wondering if it's partly that obviously the Vita is like underperforming worldwide, but I've heard that European sales are pretty low. So I wondered if it was anything to do with that. That this is the region that they need to sort of
really push it in.
I know everyone from around the world watches all the conferences anyway, but I didn't know if it was like a sort of show of support from Sony for the region as a whole.
Yeah, it makes a lot of sense. I mean, we've been banging the drum for them really getting behind this and kind of, especially the Vita, get behind the Vita and for God's sake, release some games. So it was nice to actually see the first thing they came out with is like, here's a game, here's a game, here's a game, here's a game. Get these on your Vita,
And
they're obviously, 6 months down the line, really, really trying to push hard to kind of get people on board,
And you just give people more reasons to buy the thing, isn't it? It's,
well, yeah,
because PS1 support is coming August the 28th. Now, that's something that I've harped on about for ages that I can't wait to see on the Vita.
Yeah.
But at least we've now finally got a date, which is nice. And then PS Plus,
cool.
That's coming later in the year.
Yeah, that's going to be amazing, especially if you've got both systems like the PS Vita and the PS3. Because you're going to really be getting the most out of your subscription.
Yeah, you're going to have like a nice little library of games there, isn't it? Like on both systems.
Totally.
So, because I've got PS Plus and I haven't got a PS3, and everyone's like, "Why have you got it?" Other than the fact that I won it, so didn't really have a choice. But, but yeah, I'm well looking forward to that. So I can finally get some usage out of it rather than just saving £1.12 on certain purchases on the store.
Yeah, totally. So, what did you think of this cross-buy?
I think that's really interesting. It's a really clever move. Well, I hope it's a clever move. It's quite a.
So what is it for any?
So anyone that doesn't know, cross-buy is a system where if you buy certain games on the PS3, you'll get the PS Vita version included as well. And this isn't just for like small like titles like minis or anything like that. This is for like big name first party games like Sly Cooper.
Yeah, it's not downloadable titles. It's kind of boxed retail. But it only works one way, apparently. You can't buy a game on the Vita and then get the PS3 version. It only works if you buy a PS3 game.
Do you think these Vita games are actually going to be released in boxes? Because otherwise, I haven't got a PS3, but I'm going to buy any of these games that I was going to buy anyway. I'm now going to buy on the PS3 so that I have that version as well.
Yeah.
And
I thought the situation was that all games on the Vita had to have a downloadable version on the PS Store.
Yeah, they do, but I'm thinking that maybe these games won't even have a retail release. The retail release will be the PS3 and Vita.
Oh no! I think they'll have. I think they'll have a store presence, but I think it will be, highly inflated in price. To make you, but it'll be like the same price as buying it on the PlayStation 3, I'd imagine.
So then they know that no one will buy it on the Vita. Otherwise, because you're just going.
Well, yeah, but then the one or two people who want to just buy it on the Vita, they're going to make their money out of them as well as.
Yeah, I think this might be a sign that they're going to concentrate more on digital for the Vita. But again, that's pure speculation. But I just can't see that they can market, say, any one of these games, PlayStation All Stars. So you've got the Vita version on the shelf for £30. You've got the PlayStation 3 version for 35, say 30. It's going to be around the same price after a week or two.
Yeah. I mean, it's going to be very interesting with our marketplace where PlayStation 3 games like sort of drop in price.
You could end up getting a Vita game and the PS3 game for cheaper than the Vita game. Yeah.
Yeah, which is nuts.
Yeah, which is why I think possibly they won't actually get releases. But we'll wait and see.
Yeah. Who knows? But yeah, it's going to be. It's a great idea though to try and push the Vita that way.
Well, especially now they've got the cross controller stuff as well. Which
yeah, what do you think about that? Man?
Well, I think we all knew it was coming to some extent, but
yeah, I mean, this is essentially Sony doing their Wii U
stroke smart glass type thing.
Yeah, exactly.
Now it seemed that's what the Vita was built for when the Vita was first announced. It seemed like there was going to be that possibility, but
so you think it was always built as a companion?
Yeah, I think so. This is the kind of stuff that they sort of, if not promised, at least hinted at when they first announced this. Was it the Tokyo Game Show? Wherever this was first, the Vita was first announced. They sort of hinted that was going to be possible, that there would be cross compatibility. Because at the time, people were like, "Well, doesn't that just make it a Wii U with the PS3?"
Well, yeah.
But yeah, it looks like it's really well integrated into the games. Like Little Big Planet 2, the new DLC has cross-controller support, doesn't it? So
yeah, no, it's going to be interesting to see like how that does. Because if you look at the last time they did something like this, it was with the Move controllers, and you had like Kinect, the Move controllers, and the Wii, all doing the same thing, and kind of Move was the one that sort of crashed and burned out of the three of them. So it'll be interesting to see if that happens again with this.
Well, with that, all of those things were, well, not all of those things, connect and move with the same sort of time period. But we had been around so long, whereas with this, they're all going to hit within the same
at the same time. Yeah. Now it'd be interesting to see where the market gravitates, or if they gravitate to it at all. You know,
and also
I've got a funny feeling it's going to be they're all going to offer slightly different products. Like, you know, I think the Microsoft one's going to be more like a special features type situation.
Do you really think?
Yeah, I think it's going to be more like DVD extras and type stuff. Whereas I think like PS cross controller stuff, I think that's going to be more integrated Wii U like than the Microsoft one, and I think the Wii U one will end up being slightly less, slightly more experimental with what it does, but slightly less used over the lifespan of the system.
Well, also, this can only be used optionally, really, can't it? Like, developers can't really force you to have both consoles. So,
no, exactly. So, yeah, there's that situation as well. You know, are people going to pump money into this? You know, to put cross controller support in, if only say there's an adoption rate of like 10%.
See, that's where I think that smart glass will work like that. That they know that they've got an installed base of whoever's got an iPhone, an iPod, an iPad, or whatever. I think they're trying to.
But because you're running over so many different systems, it's going to be hard to standardise it. You know, at least the other two have a standardised system to work with. You know, if you're running, going, well, it could be on an iPad, it could be on a Android tablet. You know, it could be this size, it could be this size, it could be this size. You know, I think you're gonna end up getting into a situation where they're kind of gonna try and homogenise it into. All right, well, we're going to work on an iPad spec, and everything else has to be around an iPad spec to kind of
to fit in,
make it work. Yeah, to fit in. But I think you'll find that there'll be less tablets able to actually do those kind of functions.
And I suppose then that will limit what sort of lengths they can go to integrate it with the gameplay.
Exactly, totally. Yeah. So I think there's limitations,
and it's all getting quite exciting again, really, isn't it? Like,
no, exactly. It's actually something to like kind of get excited about, and it's obviously like leading up to you know, you see a lot of the footage that's come out, and you're looking at that. What's that? Remember Me?
Yeah.
You've seen the footage for that, and it's kind of like you're looking at that, and you're just thinking, well, that's obviously on a new console. That's not on a PlayStation 3, surely. You know, it's it's getting to exciting times where there's lots of kind of, is there new stuff coming out soon? And this is the bit I love, the kind of the little quiet bit before the storm.
I know it's not going to happen. I'd love there to be an actual announcement at Gamescom, even though I know full well it's not going to happen. But...
Oh, it's never going to happen.
Do you reckon Tokyo Game Show might get anything though this year? No.
I don't think there's I don't think the eyes of the world are on at that as much as they used to be.
Yeah, fair point.
Because you listen, if you listen to a lot of the kind of podcasts from main sites, they're all kind of saying, "Oh, we're not going to go out to Tokyo this year; it's too expensive," and you know, there's not as much going on these days out there, and blah blah blah.
But that's
blah,
exactly
blah, you know,
when Sony would fuck it up and do an announcement of the PS4 to a room full of like 4 people and a dog. Like they'll be supporting some like local blues cover band. Do you know what I mean?
I've just got this vision of like some like Jack Russell sat at a laptop, you know, live blogging. Yeah, exactly.
That's very good. Yeah. On the PlayStation 4, wonderful. Sausages.
Yeah, but like, who reads his blog?
bowwowwow.com.
There were some other little Vita announcements as well. So, sorry, Dave, we've gone off on a rant on your question, as we often do. They've announced just a few little extra tweaks. It's now going to support iTunes playlists, and
that's pretty.
It is cool. It's not much, is it? But at least it means that people can use it as an iPod, and it gets it closer to that being all-in-one device that Sony seemed to want us to think.
Yeah, I mean, I'm assuming that's picking up. Did they go into details? Is that picking up sort of over the what's it called, the iTunes like sort of wireless syncing thing?
Oh, I'm not too sure if Apple would sort of allow that to hook on.
Sort of over
as far as I know, it's just that it accepts M3U files. So if you've got the MP3s on your Vita for that playlist, you can just.
Right, so it might be this might actually be a tethered thing that you've got to plug it into your computer and it will read the. Read the data from your machine. Yeah. Okay.
In fact, you can't really get much on the Vita without plugging it into a PC or PS3. It's a very, very closed system. but I can see why.
Right, gotcha.
Having seen what
Yeah,
they did with the PSP. So
Yeah, they've locked that bad boy down.
now there's something else that should have been in there, I think, from day one, and it's only people are going to say it's a small thing, but I don't think it is. Button support for the menus on the Vita, so we don't have to use the touchscreen for everything anymore. So I think that's
I mean, I'll be honest with you, that's one of the main sticking points of me. I know it sounds really sad. I haven't bought one yet because I can't use the face buttons to control the menus. But yeah, it's one of those things that actually has made me sort of sit up and take notice and go, "Oh, actually, that's getting a little bit more appealing."
Also,
now.
as a perception, the fact that you can't use the buttons makes it seem a step backwards from the PSP, where you could.
Yeah, it's weird.
Like I was so used to using the buttons on my PSP. I was so quick at finding what I wanted on there with that cross-media bar. And I know they haven't got the cross-media bar on the Vita, but just being able to flick through all of those menus like with a D-pad.
But I think with a lot of the announcements, like the kind of new FIFA coming out for it, and then the Call of Duty, was it Declassified? Black Ops Declassified.
That's the one. Yep.
Coming out as bundles and the Little Big Planet bundle and stuff. I think there's going to be a lot more people kind of coming up to Christmas thinking, do you know what, this might actually be a bit more of a valid purchase.
Well, it's like that guinea pig 6 months is now over, isn't it? It's
weird. It's like I was saying to you earlier that it's almost like they took 3 months of like listening to the complaints and the queries about the system, and then kind of spent another 3 months kind of addressing them all, and coming up with this announcement at Gamescom. It's kind of weird.
Well, I think we always forget that. I know Sony gets slightly maligned for their firmware updates sometimes, for the number of them that they do. But with the original PSP and like the early days of the PS3, each one did seem to hold sort of bundles of stuff. Sometimes you get a whole load of new features, and it was something like having a new PSP. Like you'd get, say, when they put on like internet radio and updated the browser and Skype and things like that. Yeah, it's like, wow, I can do all this new stuff. So.
I know. Yeah,
so I think they've got a history of it, but it's just nice that they're actually doing it.
Does it feel for you as a bit of a kind of desperate move to try and shift a few units?
Maybe I'm sort of all happy like Vita owner because it's only happened today. I don't think that. I'll probably in a week's time I will, but
you'll get all cynical.
Yeah,
the old cynical gland.
Yeah, but I don't know. I think it's what they needed to do, and I think they've acknowledged. They acknowledged after E3 that we messed up E3 for the Vita. We're really, really sorry. I just don't think they really knew what to do, and it looks like, as you say, they've just listened to the complaints.
Yeah, well, hopefully.
If it's cynical to listen to what your customer wants, then I'm all for Sony being cynical.
No, fair enough. Yeah, it's fair point.
There were a couple of games announced as well. Tearaway from Media Molecule, the Little Big Planet developers.
Yeah, it looks alright.
Yeah, it's got a papercraft style, the sort of origami that you print off the net of characters and that.
Yeah, it's weird. It's sort of, you were saying earlier, it was like sort of a 70s TV show, like a 70s old cartoon.
Yeah, or like Magpie or
be on
Tony
Hart.
Yeah,
like after Finger Mouse or something like that.
It's got that kind of look to it, like as if sort of Tony Hart's cut out all the pieces from paper and made this crazy sort of psychedelic world. Looks like it's got a touch of the Katamaris about it. But I don't know if I'm saying that just because the character looks a bit like the prince from Katamari, but
yeah, very much so. That's the first thing I thought. But yeah, I mean, it's interesting. It's obviously that's been made to showcase what the Vita can do, with the front and back touch and, tapping the back of the screen to make them jump and bounce and get them up to higher levels and stuff. And yeah, I think it's going to be very interesting. That's going to be really interesting. But it's kind of, I don't know whether it's going to take a little bit of something away from Little Big Planet.
I think as this has only been announced today, it's going to be quite a long while down the line. Like Little Big Planet Vita is going to have it to itself until, say, Christmas, mid next year. Gotcha. And that looks like it uses such good use of the touchscreens and stuff as well, doesn't it?
Yeah, very much so. It
almost looks like Little Big Planet's finally on the system that really makes it all make sense and make it work.
Well, yeah, I mean, like you were saying earlier, like, if they can really integrate that with Little Big Planet 2 and kind of, bring levels from and to and from and, really kind of, you can create a level on one and send it to the other.
Yeah, well, I think with the DLC supporting the cross-controller, I think that suggests that it has to be able to run Little Big Planet 2 levels.
Yeah.
Even if it's just the ones from this DLC. But I think it will run...
That'd be amazing. Yeah, it'd be absolutely
And then there's a Killzone game, which some people would be very happy about. Some people will be meh. But hey, it's another top-notch, big name shooter for the system. So.
Well, yeah. I mean, it's obviously going to have a lot of bells and whistles on it. They don't do anything with Killzone. It doesn't look pretty, so it may look brown and
other than Killzone Liberation on the PSP, but we'll forget.
I thought that was all right. I thought Killzone Liberation was all right on the PSP.
Oh, fair enough. Cool. We'll agree to differ.
It wasn't. Yeah. I mean, I know it was like third person, and you weren't sort of expecting it to be. You were expecting it to be first person or third person, but I thought it was all right in that sort of isometric view. It kind of gave me a bit of a Syndicate-y kind of vibe.
Yeah, Syndicate-y Smash TV kind of thing. I think it's that people were wanting, as you say, a first-person view. Maybe it's just that I was expecting too much of that poor little system.
Yeah. Poor malign system. Little baby, I'll look after it. Oh, poor malign system. Take you in, give you some milk.
Cookies and milk before bed for the PSP.
Yeah, exactly.
So, thanks for the question, Dave, and I hope we've answered it sufficiently.
Fingers crossed.
Randomly talking about Tokyo Game Show in the middle of it and all sorts.
Our track record of actually answering questions is pretty poor, so...
we always answer the actual question eventually. It's just that it might take you might have to filter through. Like,
at some point in the middle of the ramble, we get there.
Someday, you know that guy that does those This Year podcasts?
Yes, mate.
He's going to edit our questions and answers so that they just answer the question within about 4 seconds.
Yeah. And this is where they answered this question.
And it'll just have yes. It'll be like...
yes, I think it'll be very good.
Yeah, I've cut out 40 minutes of this show.
This shit.
So if you want to hear us randomly waffle on about anything you've got to say, do send us a question or a topic idea or any feedback for the show. We'd love to hear as well. You can get us on Twitter at the AI Bots, or you can email us.
Email at theaibots.com.
Well done, sir.
Thank you.
We got there. That's it.
Eventually.
Yeah, exactly. See, we tried that at Birmingham, and it worked perfectly in the hotel room. So yeah.
We'll keep that up. You've put me on the spot twice on that, and I've sort of jumped straight in. I'm quite impressed with myself.
Exactly. I just thought I'd see if you can handle the Anne Scantlebury thing.
Yeah, mate. I'm not quite as attractive as her, but I do look better in heels.
I'm glad she doesn't listen to the show because I'd be rightly annoyed if I was her. Anyway, you can find us on iTunes. Give us a shout, give us a review. We'd love to hear that. And I'm going to speak to you next week, bruv.
Yeah, see you later, mate. Have a good one. All right, bye.